Welcome back in the second session. Earlier, we discussed in detail the using multiple data sources and teacher evaluation. And uh, I was at the point of observation. So I will start from this component, the observation. You are advised to listen and hear this video carefully. You do have some pencil and paper with you. Wherever you feel some difficulty, write that point and go ahead. You may re-listen or review that certain slide where your query is. After completion of the lesson, have a look on your questions and write them properly. You might have sought its answer in the next slides. If no, you are required to post these all questions on the Google Classroom comments box. I will be there to reply them, or on the day of meeting on MOOC on Google Meet, we might discuss those questions as well. Thank you. Let's start. Since I was talking about the observation, I have discussed its forms, that is formal and informal, or walkthrough observation. Let me share with you what the observer should know before the conduction of observation. In his mind, there should be the things like what, why, how, who. When he is with the point what, he or she have to observe a lesson partly or completely. Why? Purpose of observation is evaluation or professional development. So accordingly, he have to observe. If the observation is in context of evaluation, then it will lead to making administrative decisions such as rating, appraisal, job conflict, or warning. And if it is in the context of professional development, so this approach to lesson observation is driven by a concern or continuous quality improvement. And in the context of how a teacher may observe unannounced or with a prior notice. Single observation or series of observations. So these all are the types and features of certain classroom observation. When we say who, then it is regarding the observers, wherein observer may be the principal, vice principal, head of department, or any supervisor or any colleague. Classroom observation process. It is three-layered process wherein there are inputs, teacher competence, and outcomes. Inputs are teacher education, ongoing professional development, that is the refresher courses, training, workshops, conferences, benchmarking, seminars, curricular resources, evaluation and feedback from the evaluators, and the students. Teacher competence. Teacher competency in engaging in class, how he has engaged the class, that is about the classroom management. Interaction that impacts students' learning. In the result of his or her interaction with the students, what type of learning has been occurred. So through the competency of teacher, four inputs are resulted in two types of outcomes. Number one, social and academic outcomes for children, followed by job satisfaction, retention for teachers. Formal observation. Formal and informal observation may be used to gather data and provide feedback to teacher. Directly focused on teacher performance standards. It may include review of teacher artifacts or student data. It might be announced or unannounced. It might be for some specific duration or for a duration of full lesson. It can be occurred throughout the year. An evaluator completes observation form. Evaluator provides feedback during review conferences. Only formal. Formal is there when it has documented. Observation data may be used for summative evaluation. Documented data must be shared with the teacher within 5 working days after the observation. It's very necessary. The required minimum formal observation includes one observation per year during year 1 and 2 for probationary teachers. You know, the probationary teachers are the novice teachers. One observation during year 2 for continuing contact teachers. Contract teachers, you know, are on certain type of contract, and that might be some renewable. No observations are required during year 1 for continuing contract teachers. This is the criteria for formal observation towards the teachers regarding their nature of job. Here I would like to share with you a form that is used for observation. It's a sample form, that is observation form. You can see here at the top of this form there is some instructions. This form is to be used for probationary teachers and teachers with continuing contract status. एक तो probationary है ज़ाहिर है. Every teacher is on the probation of for 3 years in the public sector department, public sector, and annually his performance and observation should be recorded, and on the basis of that certain performance, he or she has to be confirmed teacher. And the contract teachers are annual contracts, or might be for some sort of 3 years contracts. So their contracts are extended on the basis of their performance. Observers should use the form to provide feedback to teachers about the observation. Teacher A. So some from different teachers, it is needed to be filled this form. What components they have to fill? There is name of teacher, date of observation, time, specific kya tha. So the first feature is to be observed is professional knowledge. So here you can see there are almost 8 factors that comprised to make some professional knowledge. And instructional planning, is followed with the 5 factors that unanimously make a score about instructional planning. And then there is the comment of the observer, that is warm-up provided by a review regarding to the activities of the first, second, third differences, and so on. So they have to provide their own input. Now let me discuss the informal observation. Informal observation may be conducted at any time and at the direction of the evaluator. It provides more frequent information on wide variety of teacher continuous contributions. It might be in the classroom or non-classroom setting. It might be less structured or formal observation. It have no specific duration. It occurs throughout the year, and the evaluator completes the observation form, provides the copy to teacher. Whatever he have observed, whatever he have noted in the observation form, the observer is bound to provide a copy of his observation to the teacher who is observed. Accordingly, for informal observation, there is also a form, that is a sample form as we discussed earlier. Here are some certain features which are covered in this form: the professional knowledge, instructional planning, instructional delivery. And when all these 3 components are discussed, their specific examples are required to be noted here by the observer teacher. You know, in professional knowledge, there are 8, 9 points, and in delivery, in instructional planning, there are 5 components, and in instructional delivery, there are 7 components. So on the whole, to sum up all these components, there must be a specific example quoted by the observer in the form. The third type of observation is the walk-through observation. It provides a means to document and assess practices and trends throughout the school. Typically, it's a briefing of 3 to 5 minute visits in the multiple classrooms. It is not designed for individual teacher evaluation. It is on the whole observation. Let's discuss the limitations with observation. Observe 3 to 4 classes per year, that is 0.4% of performance. Classroom responsibilities only are being observed over here, subject to evaluator bias. That might be, there might be some biasness with the evaluator. Focus on process of teaching versus outcomes. Inspector model of evaluation. So instead of being the facilitator, when some person is on the inspection observation, he looks like an inspector and have some certain pressure on the person who is being observed. Documentation log is also another type of observation, performance evaluation. Collection of work that demonstrates teachers' professional competence in regard to meeting performance standards. Teachers' voice is evaluation. Voice mean what type of notes and presentations and points have been documented. Complement class observations. Analysis and reflection should be included. Property of teacher reviewed by evaluator. Help to clarify instructional relationship between lesson plans, student work, and assessments. Documentation logs are similar to the portfolios. but are typically more concise and confined to specific artifacts. In portfolios, we have some general information and usual at large data, but in documentation log, the specific events, points, and artifacts are confined. So therefore, it is much concise as compared to the portfolio. The purpose of documentation log is to provide evidence of performance related to specific standards. It should include artifacts that result from the day-to-day work of the teachers. Artifacts should not be created solely for the purpose of evaluation. These should be merged with some other components, allied components. It provides the teacher with the opportunity for self-reflection, allows the demonstration of quality work, and creates a basis for two-way communication with an evaluator. The emphasis of documentation log is on the quality of work, not the quantity of material presented. Documentation log is a work in progress and should be updated throughout the evaluation cycle, but should be available for review at any time per the administrator's request. At a minimum, evaluator will review and provide feedback on the documentation log annually. Additionally, new teachers will meet the administrators or evaluators to review their documentation log by the end of the first semester. Here is specimen pro forma for documentation log, wherein columns you can see first one is the standards on the basis of which documentation log is required to be made. That is the professional knowledge, instructional planning, instructional delivery, and the required item, and then the examples of evidence and evidence included. These are the components of this document log. Student surveys is also a type of data source towards the performance evaluation of the teachers. So data collected from the student survey also guide the administrators to rank the teacher towards his or her evaluation state, state status. Student surveys are those surveys conducted with an objective to gather actionable students' feedback about an educational institution. Every student survey questions has to be framed in a way that the answer to each question can be benefit the education institution in one form or the other. You can see a sample here with the student's questionnaire that is known as the student survey. It provides the perception of how teacher is performing, direct knowledge of classroom practice. It assists teacher in setting goals for continuous improvement, that is the formative evaluation. Surveys developed for different age groups. Surveys are anonymous. Actual responses seen only by individual teacher. Survey summary for form is included in the documentation log. Things to be considered in the survey are: what is the primary objective of the student survey? It must be in the mind while framing survey form. How many students will be surveyed? When will your school, university carry out the student survey? What methods will be implemented to analyze the collected data? Will the school be reporting the analyzed data? So the data analyzed should be shared with the school, with the teachers, so as to um, support them towards their performance. Teacher can improve their practices by giving students a voice in the classroom. And student survey allows students to voice their issues, needs, and desires, giving feedback on how a teacher can change his or her instruction to help them perform better in the class. Green Valley County Public School Student Survey, you can see here are some different questions about the teacher. As my teacher listened to me, and student have to take any one of the response, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. My teacher gave me help when I need it. My teacher shows us how to do new things, so and so on. If students needs to make some certain comments, there is place for their open-ended observation. Teacher evaluation by the students. This is the questionnaire at the 5 rating scale, and there is a column for their any personal reference for personal write-up if they wanted to place there. So some explicit or implicit curriculum के बारे में the things are stated here. The 15 items are in the explicit and accordingly followed by the implicit curriculum items. The student survey form is also abbreviated like grades K2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So there are different items for different students, and there is also student satisfaction analysis up to what extent they are satisfied with the teacher's performance. Benefits and challenges of student survey. Benefits are teachers receive feedback from the receivers of the services. Teachers can use as a formative evaluation to improve practice, whereas challenges are concerned with the results are based on the popularity. Yes, if the results of the students are good, then the teacher become much popular. Surveys might not ask the right questions, and surveys might not ask the right students. Yes, it plays role towards the performance valuation of the teachers. Some of the students might be much favorite and be understanding the teacher much balanced, whereas at the same time, if any time in the class a teacher have scolded any of the student, the teacher cannot be the right towards providing information. Self-evaluation is another data source of performance evaluation of the teachers. Herein, teacher is keeping the notes about him, like he may write his strengths, his weaknesses, his threats and opportunities. So in the self-evaluation system, teacher conduct a SWOT analysis about himself, keeping the things in his mind and make scores towards his evaluation. So it is an effective about the, it is a judgment about the effectiveness and purpose of self-improvement. You know, self-evaluation helps teachers to discover ways to enhance their practice, which may impact students' learning. And the purpose of self-evaluation is to engage the teacher in performance evaluation process and open communication channels for performance-related issues. It also helps teachers to plot their next steps for development on a personal and institutional levels. Methods of self-evaluation are different. Number one, self-monitoring and goal setting, video or audio recording, mentoring, taking notes, gathering feedback from stakeholders. And for self-evaluation, here is an example or a performer, how the teacher have taken notes about him. He has highlighted the areas of strength written here in the statement. Area needs to be improved. He also have stated and accordingly instructional planning and areas of strength. It's an example of self-evaluation. Student achievement goal setting is another data source towards performance evaluation of the teachers. The Uniform Performance Standard Evaluation Criteria incorporates student academic program as a significant component of evaluation. For about 30% of teachers, student growth percentile will be available. For about 70% of teachers, other measures of academic progress will need to be identified. So there should be the focus on the students' results, explicitly connect teaching and learning, improve instructional practices and teacher education, specialist performance, tool for school improvement. So the purpose of student achievement goal setting is to improve the school as a whole. What is student achievement goal setting? You can see in this diagram here. Step one is to determine needs, followed by create specific learning goals based on pre-assessment. Step three, create and implementing and learning strategies. Step four, monitoring student progress through ongoing formative assessment. These are interrelevant relevant to each other. If step four is not finished, then go back to the three, and finally make it mature, put into four. Step five, determine whether the students achieve the goal or not. So step one, to determine need. Uh, to begin this process, teachers need to determine the area on which focus and how broad or narrow the focus should be. So it's pre-assessment is necessary to obtain baseline data for each of the student. In the step first, it is very necessary to determine the need, and assessments series should be reliable and the basis of the student knowledge and skills. Pre-test and post-assessment should be taken. In the case of post-assessment, data must be available prior to the summative evaluation. Step two, to create specific learning objective based on the pre-assessment data. You can see here, and it should be acronymed as a SMART, useful way to self-assess on the objectives of feasibility or and the worth. When we say SMART, you can highlight this in detail, like S stands for specific, M for measurable, A for appropriate, R realistic but rigorous, and T for time bounded. So going through all this step, that is SMART, the specific learning objectives on the basis of pre-assessment data can be collected. Step three is about to create and implement teaching and learning strategies. So here we can see there are different implementation phases for implementation of teaching and learning strategies. That is the modified teaching, work arrangements, cooperative learning है, demonstration lessons है, visits, other classrooms है, use of variety of instructional strategies है, focused on classroom observation, development of curricular supplements, completion of workshops, and co-teaching, collaborative teaching. In step four, to collect data for observation, this is another source, and the fourth component from that is monitor progress through ongoing formative assessment. You know, ongoing formative assessment should be monitored throughout the process, throughout the year, throughout the all of its the phases to determine students' learning objective attainment. Up to what extent students have uh, achieved their objectives, that is also a score towards evaluation. On the basis of these five steps, some recommendations have been made. Students' achievement goal setting is linked to mastery learning, enhancing prerequisite skills, assessment of learning, standards-based performance assessment, standard-based instruction, data-based decision making, progress monitoring, and so on.